Oh my god, he's not in a van. Today I'm filming inside in the peace and quiet, and I'm going to talk about something that's really interested me lately, and that is autism. Now, autism people probably only know by the very visible, obvious signs of autism, being things like repetitive behaviors like rocking back and forwards, and delays in language ability and language processing, in particular as you're growing up. But this is really only the extreme forms of autism, and autism actually falls on a spectrum. At one end you have the extreme forms like what I've just discussed, and at the other end you actually have conditions like Asperger's syndrome, which manifest as a form of interpersonal awkwardness almost, an inability to relate to others in a way that your average person would. Now, my understanding of autism is that it's actually to do with the level of processing detail. So an autistic person, when they put a shirt on in the morning, rather than just seeing, putting the shirt on, going off to work and moving to the next activity the way your average person would, an autistic person, when they put a shirt on, goes, oh, this shirt feels like this. I can feel this fiber. It must be made of this. Look at the detail, look at the color. And they get so lost in the detail of it. Well, and I say lost, but actually it's just a different reality to your average person. Now this comes at costs and benefits. The cost is that although they may understand the shirt in a way that the average person might not, some of them can't button up that shirt because of how much detail that they're processing. Now, but the benefit to this is that many autistic people have enhanced mathematical ability. In particular, you see people that we call autistic savants in movies like Rain Man, where they have incredible abilities, like if a box of toothpicks drops on the ground, they're able to tell you how many toothpicks have fallen without counting them, because they have access to that raw sensory data. And actually, a study being done at the University of Sydney at the moment is using a machine called TMS, transcranial magnetic stimulation, that is literally a wand over the brain, firing high powered magnetic pulses into different regions of the brain to stimulate or inhibit. And they've actually done this in such a way where they're able to recreate the symptoms of being an autistic savant in an ordinary, everyday first-year uni student. And I think this goes to show that there's aspects of autism in all of us. I think if you took a moment to sit and slow yourself down and focus on the detail of one thing, you can start to see how very quickly the bigger picture gets lost. But there's also benefits to doing this. So it may be something worth trying, just to give you an idea of what autism might be like. There's some other great books and movies on this topic. Born on a Blue Day is a book that is absolutely fantastic. It's written by a person who is an autistic savant with a condition also, with another condition called synesthesia. And what synesthesia is that he can actually solve mathematical problems through colors and shapes that he sees in his head. So if you ask him to recite pi, he sees in his head the shape and color that is pi, and which is this massive sort of fabric of colors and shapes, and he knows that color and that shape is the number whatever, and he can then go through and tell you in a way that your average person just would be completely unable to, all many digits of pi through without actually doing any mathematical processing in a conscious way that we would. And so, but it works both ways, because actually for him emotion is also mapped to numbers and shapes. So when one example of this is he went to New York City and he was feeling really intimidated by all the big buildings around him, and he said, it's almost like I'm surrounded by nines, which is incredible to think about, that somebody has those areas that has those areas of the brain wired so differently that they're relating emotions to numbers, and numbers then to their experience of their environment. So I've covered the symptoms of autism. I've covered these really unique examples of autism in the form of synesthesia. The last thing I just want to briefly touch on is the impact it has on families of people who have extreme forms of autism. Often it comes at a real cost, because looking after someone with autism can be a real task, because often they don't have the ability to care for themselves. And one of the best movies I've ever watched shows this so well, and that movie is A Black Balloon. Really encourage you to watch it. It's an Australian film with amazing actors, and really is touching. It's one of the few movies I've ever cried to, so really encourage you to watch that. And I guess the next time you come across somebody who has a lot of respect for detail, who really likes structure in their life, and can focus in a way that is unusual, and may have difficulty communicating with you what's going on, consider the possibility that this person might be on the autistic spectrum, and consider that they're accessing knowledge and information that is somewhere else, but may not necessarily be better or worse than the place you're at. If you have any information about TMS, I'd love to hear about it. I'm thinking maybe of doing a video devoted to TMS, but please comment, rate, subscribe below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.